Okay, let's get started. All right. So leadership. So I believe that leadership is imperative for all of us as nurses and midwives in this profession. And why do I think this? It's really about the healthcare outcomes in this country that are so just disparate. That and they're not even just the disparity is not the only thing. Even when they're good, they're not as good as they should be for who we are and how much money we spend on healthcare, time, effort, and money in this country. So this is one thing that is driving me crazy. Maternal mortality rates, 7.2 per 100 in 1987, and the last measurement of 2013 was 17.3. And I saw some data last week that shows that it's even up higher than that now. So why are women dying in this country in childbirth is a big question. But here's the bigger shame of the whole thing. So here you have this rising maternal mortality rate, and then look at who is it affecting. It is affecting the non-Hispanic white population. That's not a good number. But look at how it affects the non-Hispanic Black population, more than 2.5 times greater. Why? And the Hispanic population, interestingly enough, is lower than some of the others, but still, all these numbers should be much better than they are. When you measure us against other industrialized countries, these numbers are high. You know, it's interesting that, well, I'll keep going. But so here's some information from healthypeople.com. This is their latest graphic. All these graphics are available. So like if you want to do presentations during your, when you're in class or in other places, it's really important for you to share this information. This is infant mortality rate. Now, infant mortality rate is often seen as one of the primary indicators of the health of a country. And so our infant mortality rate, here's Black non-Hispanic 10.9. American Indian 7.6, Hispanics 5.0, white non-Hispanic 4.9, and Asian 3.9. So once again, you see the Black population is experiencing this at 2.5 times the rate, almost, of the white population. Why? Why? Well, it's really about access and health disparities. It's about so many things that we're going to be talking about all weekend, and that you're really going to get some more ideas about this. But you know, a lot of it is because we, for example, me, I'll just take me, as a white person who was brought up in this white society, I have a lot of preconceived notions that have been put in my head throughout my whole entire lifetime about how things are. And some of those notions just aren't right, So I can't put myself in the place of an African-American person living in this society. I just can't. I can try to be as culturally competent as I can, but in fact, if I'm a nurse midwife providing care, I'm going to have a lot more understanding of the issues if I'm a Black nurse midwife providing care to Black women or Black families. As in the same as, you know, I remember when I was a young midwife and I finally got to work in the clinic where I had done childbirth education for 10 years. And I remember and I lived there all my life. And I remember one of the women said to me, now where do you live? And I said, Herkimer. And she said, oh, you're a Valley girl. That's what I'm talking about. You know, because she understood me, I understood her. But that's why we need to increase the diversity of the healthcare workforce, because that's how we're going to provide the best care. So that's what we do here at Frontier Nursing University. That's why we recruit people from their own communities with the hope that they will stay and serve their own communities. Does that make sense? Okay. So the other is preterm birth, and you can see the same thing going on with preterm birth. These are all health indicators of the whole country. The interesting thing is, I didn't put all of this information up here, but we spend, when you compare us to other industrialized countries, we spend 50% more than any of those countries do on healthcare. And yet, you know what? Our people have fewer healthcare visits and fewer hospitalizations. You know where the money's going? The money's going to CAT scans, MRI, technology, and pharmaceuticals. Now, those are great technologies and great things, but they're never going to solve the health promotion and just the healthy population issues that, you know what, nurses can. Nurses really can. So what are we trying to achieve? So first, look at a couple of definitions. I like these definitions. You can find more complex definitions, but these come from the CDC. What is health equity? What does it mean? It means everyone has the opportunity to be as healthy as possible, right? Easy. Seems so simple. And what are health disparities? Health disparities are the differences in health outcomes and their causes among different groups of people. So what is our goal? To achieve health equity and eliminate the disparities and improve the health of the whole U.S. population. And that's a Healthy People 2020, which you're all familiar with as nurses and the goals. So why is leadership important for nurses? Well, like I said, nurses can have a significant impact on many of these problems. We know that we are good at helping people achieve healthier lifestyles. We know that nurses can have, working with pregnant women will have less prematurity, fewer interventions, and also nurses working with people generally have greater satisfaction with healthcare. So now I'm talking about nurses, nurse practitioners, all kinds of nurse practitioners and nurse midwives, all kinds of nurses can make this difference. So my belief is that we all need to be leaders in order to make this picture change. We need to step up to the plate. I put this up here. I know you've all heard this to, say, oh, there it is again. But I believe it. I wish you would print it, put it on your blackboard or your bulletin board or whatever it is, and remember this every day, that it's, and this was Gandhi, brilliant, that we ourselves need to be the change that we wish to see in the world. We can't sit around complaining about what things look like without having some little piece of the pie that we can move forward. So leadership skills can help you to make changes that are necessary in order for you to serve the families at the highest level that you want to. Leadership can help you make changes in the healthcare environment that have to occur if we're going to change this picture. And leadership can also help you just make a change in the healthcare setting. So it might be the littlest change where you start, or it might be a big change, but you can make a difference. So what is leadership? Well, leadership is a subjective term. It's defined differently by different people. Lots of times people think of the stereotype of someone who's got a lot of power in the organization. They make all the decisions in the organization. They give orders, and they have a lot of power, and they thrive on that power. But there's better definitions of leadership. Now, these come from some leaders of not-for-profits, and I just read some of these in Business News Daily. So I just want you to think about these definitions of leadership. Leadership should be the humble, authentic expression of your unique personality in pursuit of bettering whatever environment that you are in. So that was Katie Christie, founder of Activate Your Talent. So here's another. Leadership comes from influence, and influence could come from anyone at any level and in any role. So being open and authentic, helping to lift others up, and working towards a common mission is leadership. And here's another nice one. A leader is someone who has the clarity to know the right things to do, the confidence to know when they are wrong, and the courage to do the right things, even when they're hard. So there's many definitions, but there's really some core values that I want you to think about in leadership, okay? So leadership is the ability to lead change by empowering those around you, because we have to do it together for it to be effective and for it to take. And create a shared vision. What is it that you're trying to change? You need to paint that picture and then move it forward to achievement. So that said, I want to introduce you to servant leadership. How many of you studied servant leadership already? Okay, good. Servant leadership is a philosophy and a set of practices that enriches the lives of individuals, builds better organizations, and creates a more just and caring world. So servant leadership, you can Google it, you see tons of videos about it, you see it. But the best thing about servant leadership, I think it really lines up with the goals and values of nursing and midwifery. So What is a servant leader? Servant leader is servant first. So what does that mean? It's someone who says, oh, I need to change this. This is not right. I want to go be a nurse. I want to go be a physician. I want to go be, because I have to change this. And, or whatever small thing is, you know, whether you're seeing microaggressions happening in your organization, whether you're seeing symptoms of inequities within your organization, what is it that you can, that is calling to you to make a change? So they come to leadership because they want to change the world for a better place. They don't come to leadership because they want a better job. They want, you know, something on their CV that says they were in charge or whatever. So title means nothing in servant leadership. The one with a servant's heart is the leader. So servant leaders have a strong desire to make a difference. They like to share power. They put the needs of others first. They help people develop and perform as highly as possible, and they build community. And I want you to think about this too, because as human beings, we're a little competitive. We can be competitive. And so to be a true leader, you have to be able to get over that and not care who gets credit for what happens. Like if you move it forward and it happens and you're a part of it, who cares who had the first idea? Who cares? It's not, you know, so it's really about, you know, coming together as a group and being powerful as a group and not worrying about who gets the credit, because everybody will get the credit and the benefit. So there's 12 principles of servant leadership, and I just want to put these up here and kind of go through them a little quickly. But I want to think about these 12 principles and how they line up inside of you, like you, who you are, and what it means to be a servant leader. So servant leaders have foresight. So they have the ability to look backwards and see what happened before, and then look at the environment, what's happening right now, and then try to plan for the future based on that. So they have this instinctual, they're intuitive. Now we know nurses are intuitive, okay? So you know yourself, the longer you nurse, the more intuitive you are. Like you know, you kind of get that first time you walk in a room, you're a student nurse, you don't know what's going on. You're just like trying to take it all in, right? But then you get that day when you walk in a room and you go like, something's wrong here. Or, you know, it might be something as simple as walking in the exam room and there's a couple in that room and you go like, ooh, this is not good. You know, not that they said anything, but you can feel it. So that kind of intuition about how things are, what's going on. So you can see this yesterday, tomorrow, and what's going on right now. Servant leaders listen. As nurses, haven't we all been taught that listening is one of our most important skills? And haven't you all been, I mean, I work on this every single day, that I'm truly listening. I'm not thinking about what I'm going to say next or what the reaction should be, but I'm sitting in front of somebody truly listening. Servant leaders have a great skill at listening. And they also listen to their inner voice, just like I said. Like when this is, you know, if you start, you have to change yourself a little bit. Like the conversation's not, you can just feel the conversation going in a wrong direction. So you get, it's an intuitive feeling more than this, you know, this logical thing that says this is not going well. So they listen to their inner voice and they look to see what's really being communicated in any conversation. Servant leaders have empathy. Now remember, this servant leadership was not made for nurses, but I just love it how it aligns up with nursing and midwifery and the caring professions. Empathy, we strive to understand and empathize with others. We assume good intentions. You know, you always have to remind yourself of this too, because you can get cranky on certain days when people are not doing things the way you think they should or wish they would. But you have to understand that 99% of the time, people are trying to do the best they can. They're not intentionally doing things. So, you know, always think the person themselves, maybe they're not doing exactly what the plan was, and you may even have to question somebody's behavior at some time or actions, but it doesn't mean they're a bad person. So kind of keep those two, servant leaders keep those two things separate. They know that as humans, we're all really trying to do, there's a few people who are not, but most of us are trying to do the right thing. And they recognize others for their uniqueness. This is important. When you're building a team and you're looking for a team, there's a tendency to look for people that think like you do. And you know what? Your team won't be strong when you do that. What you've got to do is find that person who's disagreeing with you and get that person on your team, because that's how you'll create a vision that's strong and that has some diversity in the thinking of it. So don't look for people that think like you. Look for people that, you can have a couple people like you, but you want diversity of thinking. So when somebody goes, no, that's not right, sit down and listen. Why are they saying that? What's going on? Does anybody watch Call the Midwife besides me? Yeah, okay. So Sister Monica Joan is the actress on Cars and character on Call the Midwife. And she's kind of an elderly, she's got a little bit of dementia, but she's always coming out with these zingers that are so spot on. And so she said, we are all God's children. Some are easier to love than others, and it's the others that need us the most. So servant leaders are healers. Learning to heal is a powerful force for transformation and integration. Sometimes you might have to heal yourself first, because you go through things in your life that, not just trauma and all that kind of thing, but experiences that make you think that you can't move forward, or that it's not, that you don't have that kind of skill, or, so sometimes you have to heal yourself in order to move forward. So looking deeply within you. I love this quote from Mary Angela. I just have to throw some quotes in here. People will forget what you said. People will forget what you did. But people will never forget how you made them feel. Another one of our geniuses, Maya Angelou. And spiritual leaders. She was a great spiritual leader. Servant leaders have an awareness, a self-awareness of themselves. So that grows with time. But I hope that we can teach you earlier, sooner, to have some of these self-awareness skills. The skill that says, stop thinking about what's next. Instead, be right here in this moment. So that kind of solves it. Why I'm feeling uncomfortable. Why am I feeling uncomfortable? And be able to look at yourself and just take a minute to stop and figure out what's going on. So servant leaders have a strong awareness of what's going on around them, and they know what's happening, and they'll rarely be fooled. Servant leaders use persuasion. We love consensus. We love consensus here at Frontier School. It's hard work to achieve consensus. We do the hard work. We do. And sometimes it's frustrating, but we do it, right, you guys? But it works a lot better in the long run than coercion, than saying, this is what we're going to do, this is how we're going to do it, and that's it. Those kinds of mandates don't take effect as well, and you get a lot of. So servant leaders use persuasion to get where they want. They try to convince people rather than coerce, because while you're convincing, you're also listening and you're getting their ideas. So your idea gets stronger by using persuasion. All right. They use the word conceptualization. I like the word vision. The servant leaders dream big dreams, and they can look at the organization of what it is today, and they can say what it could. They have an idea of what it could be in the future. So once you start to, I want you to go through this weekend with an open mind and see what really reaches out to you, what grabs you, what do you think that you could take away and work on from this weekend. And when that happens, then you're going to move it forward, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Servant leaders have they want everybody to do well and grow in the situation. Once again, it's not all about me as a leader, it's about the team. So they like to have other people find their potential as well. They love community building, know that the organization needs to function as a community, and they work hard to build community. And servant leaders, I think this idea of stewardship, so they like to give back. So how they've been rewarded in their lives, they want to give back. Now, some people give back with money, but what's even more important is your talent and time and efforts. So that kind of giving back. Some of the alumni that are here this weekend, you're in a way giving back to us by participating, because I know you're going to mentor some of the other participants that are here, and you're continuing to grow your knowledge as you, see them back there. So Servant leaders form a giving community. Servant leaders have a calling. Well, nurses have a calling, like midwives have a calling. They're willing to sacrifice self-interest for the greater good. They have a deeply rooted values base. Everybody in this room has that. I know that's why you're here, because you wouldn't be here. You don't have to be here. Nobody's here because it's a requirement. You're here because you want to make a change. Every single one of you. The couriers too. You're spending a summer because you want to either make a change right now or start to think about what change you want to make in the future. So I'm thrilled all of you are here to do what nobody else will do in a way that nobody else can do, in spite of all we go through. That is to be a nurse. All right. Servant leaders like to nurture the spirit. That means they want everybody on the team to feel good. So that's why we do, nursing and midwifery. We have a lot of different professions. We like to give awards. We like to have, give honors, and we like to give praise and just thank people for the work that they're doing. So that nurtures the spirit when we give credit to all the people who have been really around you to make things happen. They like to reflect on both their struggles and their successes, because you learn from both. You reflect. You don't want to just reflect and say, oh, we did such a good job and it worked. But when it doesn't work, what does that mean? So why servant leadership in nursing? There's great values alignment. Most of us became nurses so that we could serve families and improve healthcare. Most of us, I think I speak for you all, feel we were called to serve. We do feel a responsibility to serve our community and our society, but we don't always know how to do it. So servant leadership, I think, can provide a framework for you. We have to understand that we all have the potential, and I want you to hear this, and you may not want to hear it, but I'm going to tell you, you have the responsibility to be a leader. It's not your position in any organization, but it's your passion that makes you a leader. Your desire to make a change, your knowledge that change has to happen. And servant leadership names the characteristics that you need to work on in order to lead change. All of you have all of these characteristics, but some might be stronger than others. And we need you to do this. So it's time to take action. Obviously, you're here with a hope to learn. Oh, sorry. Please stop sharing. And since we care about the whole community. I was just getting passionate, Anna.
I know. Can I get presenter again, please, Misty?
To be a tech person in the cloud. One on the ground, one in the cloud. Okay, so obviously you all came here with a hope to learn more about health disparities and health equity and diversity, and how that you and we can learn to live and work in a successful, diverse world. And you can use servant leadership skills to make that change. It's not coming. It's not advancing.
Oh, click on it there.
Do what?
If you just click on it.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
And so, how can you make a difference? Well, as you go through this weekend, think about what is your passion, what do you want to change, and how can you apply what you learned to your daily life, and how can you be the change that you want to see in the world? So create your vision, think deeply about it. What needs to change in order to make your vision a reality? You know, I take you back to Mary Breckenridge's story. You know, when Mary Breckenridge was going to start Frontier Nursing Service, she writes in her book that she talked to everybody for 10 years about this idea before she made it reality. So sometimes it takes a very long time. You know, she had a big dream. She was dreaming big, and so, you know, it's okay that your vision might be tiny at first, but get bigger over time. And it's okay to talk to everybody in order to help create your vision. Think about who will help you. You know, as I said, we have alumni in the room. We're going to have a lot of faculty here. We have guest speakers here that all can mentor you. And so you should seek out mentors. You know, you should seek out the people who can align, that you know can help move your agenda forward. And it's all right to be very selective about that and find those people who are thinking about those same ideas, because they can help you move that forward. Do you have evidence that can help you? Like national calls to action, Cochrane database report, you know, all kinds of reports. Other people that can help you. And can your goal become an institutional effort within your own institution? So I'm going to tell you one story. This is our efforts to increase diversity, the diversity of the healthcare workforce here at Frontier. So, you know, back in 2008, 2009, we were thinking about this. We only had about 9% of our student body were of minority, and we wanted to make a change. We really wanted to be able to contribute to a more diverse workforce. And so a lot of us got together. And here's my point. Nobody was a leader. Nobody was the leader of that effort. Everybody had a piece of that effort to move that effort forward. You know, everybody had a dream. You know, some of us wanted to recruit more students. Some of us wanted to decrease retention. Some of us wanted to have a Pride Diversity Weekend every year, whatever it was. And so we launched the Pride. We got a grant. We were lucky enough to, not just lucky, it was strategic too, to get a grant. And we worked together as a team. We developed the strategies that would make a difference. We looked at the literature to see what that said. We set a goal to weave diversity training throughout our curriculum so that it would affect everybody. And we created targeted recruitment and retention activities. And so we've had some success. So in 2009, we were 10.6%. By 2017, we have 20% of our student population. So this is great. This is great, but there's so much more to do. You know, we have so much more to do. We need a more diverse faculty. We need to have better training of the whole community in diversity. And so this is a goal that we can smile, that we made some progress, but it's not the whole picture. We got a lot more to do. So I want you to just think too that sometimes it might not work. And you know, when it doesn't work, if you're in an organization that's just not working for you and you keep trying and you're just banging your head against the wall, you know, I did this once. I spent 6 years on a maternity unit in a little tiny hospital in upstate New York trying to make changes. And the pediatricians and the obstetricians took me 6 years to realize that I was not going to make any changes in that organization and that I needed to leave. And I didn't think I could leave. I thought, this is close to my home. It's convenient for my family. I have 3 little kids, all those things. You know what? I left, and it was the best thing I ever did. Another time in my life was when I finally became a midwife in 1991. Frontier wanted me to move here from upstate New York. I'd lived in upstate New York, little town way in upstate New York, all my life. I was a Valley girl, remember? And so I said, I can't move. And so they said, well, will you do it for your interim? And I said, okay, while we find somebody. And I spent so much time down here, and I got to love it so much that I moved with my family and my children, and we all call Kentucky home now. I love Kentucky, and I'm so comfortable here. And now I feel like I have 2 homes, one in New York and one in Kentucky. So I want you to think about that. Growth's painful, change is painful, but nothing is as painful as staying stuck or somewhere where you don't belong. So don't be afraid. Don't let it scare you. If you have to make a change, start looking around to what, in order to make your vision a reality, you can make a change, and it can be successful. So we're reaching for health equity. What can you do? Be mindful about the issues surrounding these. Think about this weekend. I want you to think about this, and I want you to be a servant leader. And last, remember, leadership's a team sport. together we are so much smarter than we ever are alone. And I want you to use your influence, because all of you do have influence, to bring the issue that you are trying to change to the forefront. And don't be afraid to dream big. And start big or start small, but start. And I just want to show you this little 30-minute video. It's only a 3-minute video on servant leadership.
Got a package full of wishes, a time machine, a magic wand, a globe made out of gold. No instructions or commandments, laws of gravity, indecisions to uphold. Read out the box I see, actors build a world to be. Take a chance, grab a piece, you can totally believe it. What kind of world do you want? Take everything. Let's start at the start. As the master leads, be careful what you wish for. Mission starts. Start
So that's it. I hope I've inspired you a little bit. I want you to think about servant leadership as you go through your weekend and your summer and your year and your life, and about how you can make a difference. So are there any questions? Do y'all feel like you can be servant leaders? YouTube just keeps serving it up.
Well, I have a question. How many of you are current leaders in your communities, whether it's at your job, in a professional organization? How many? All right, this is good. Would you like to share your leader? Matter of fact, one of our grad students here was involved in the Duke Nurses Leadership Program.
Oh, yes,
and I think
tell us
that
about
ties in perfect with what Dr. Stone was talking about. Would you like to share?
So about a week and a half ago, I finished up a year-long fellowship with Duke and Johnson & Johnson. It's a nurse leadership program for nurse practitioners. I was one of actually 3 Frontier alumni who were selected for that cohort. It's a program that's open every year, and it was mainly to try to figure out the same message. You know, see yourself as a leader. Where do you see yourself being able to lead within your community, within your clinical sites, and things like that? And what was really nice about the program was that there was so many diverse leaders. So there were people like myself who have never held a leadership position at all, to people who were running organizations. But what we found through the retreats and through the sessions was that we all had that same core mission, and that we wanted to provide care to our communities in the best way that we could. And throughout the year, we were able to participate in a lot of webinars and 3 retreats through Duke. And it was really interesting to kind of see how we were able to connect with each other, talk about the issues that we saw across the United States, and come together with common solutions that have worked for us in our clinical settings, and be able to come back to our own communities and be able to say, this is how I can implement these things in my own community. We all did transformational projects, which really ranged from, again, you know, simple screening initiatives in your community to people who developed, you know, didactic programs for pediatric mental health specialists. So again, it was very vast, but again, at the end, we were all able to connect and say, you know, we do have the ability to lead. It may be small, it may be large, but again, in the end, we're going to be able to benefit our community. So for any of you that are nurse practitioners, midwives, it's something that is open every year. It's pretty easy to apply. It's a very nice program, very nice retreats. But again, it just allows you to be able to see yourself in a different light, one that you may not be able to envision yourself at this moment, but to be able to complete a program and say, you know what, I can go out and do that, and seek out those opportunities instead of being afraid of them.
Yes, I was just going to make a comment. It's really good to hear that those kinds of programs are out there, because I think another aspect of leadership is knowing that you're not alone in being a leader. And as soon as you start thinking that way, then the focus is lost. And so coming back to a community of leaders, and I think of this as a community of leaders, but also when we're done with our schooling and we go out into the world, to find those communities where we can go back, whether we are just getting into a leadership position or we've been leaders for, you know, a long time, to be able to connect with each other and find solutions.
Great comments. Yes. Who else? Who else has an experience to share?
I'm very quietly trying to lead some change in my practice, but just got to do it in a little bit bigger way. We were surveyed for World Health Center accreditation status, and instead of the person who's been leading the project writing the plan of correction for the 2 things they found wrong, only 2, and one of them we fixed right away. The other one was it's an organizational problem. I got to write the plan of correction and have done the answering and
Awesome.
getting us to where we need to be, so that the very large unbalanced Medicaid population versus private insurance that we see will actually get us a little bit more reimbursement, so that we can continue to do the $365 million of uncompensated care a year that my organization provides.
You are a servant leader. See, that's someone who's just quietly making things happen, because qualifying that as a rural health clinic provides a lot of benefits to the patients that they wouldn't have, or it might not even be there if they couldn't get cost-based reimbursement from the rural health status. That's awesome. Who else?
There is a nonprofit organization. It's called Virtual Communities in the Cleveland area. They specialize in, they're a collective of doulas, and they specialize in caring for African American women
They are based in Cleveland, and I like heard about them in a really roundabout way, but I like stalked the person that had started it for a while, and I met with her, and I just started to try to slowly integrate myself into the organization, do some childbirth education classes and stuff like that, and then just recently they decided they were going to create a board of directors, and she invited me to join.
You are a certain leader, and we're going to send ad stalking.
This fellowship. This stands for Leadership in Education and Neurodevelopmental Disabilities. And it is a collaborative fellowship. All disciplines are represented for the focus on neurodevelopmental disabilities. And that was a great experience because, you know, you get to hear about what people do. You think you know because you work at this huge hospital, but you really don't know what they do until you come to this fellowship and you get to talk with them one-on-one. We did policy improvement programs together. I mean, it was just a great experience. And I know we're just opening up the psych department here.
Yeah.
But that's how I got involved because I was training in psychiatry. But it was a great fellowship. It was a great time to meet with some peers that I will be dealing with for the rest of my career in nursing. And hopefully, a few more months, DNSc. I mean, it was a great opportunity to really make sure that I understood what the other disciplines do.
Oh, that's a great one too. Isn't that so true? We operate in silos sometimes, and we like the nurses do this, and the physical therapists do that, and the quality improvement people do that, and so that's a great one. I love that. Who else?
So this was something that I struggled a lot with recently. I work as a home health care nurse doing pediatric critical care. So I work with kids who live at home on life support. Most are trach vent dependent, feeding tubes. We have a whole range of problems. And so I work for a small home health company, and we have various patients in the greater Seattle area. And I have been with the company for about 2.5 years. And shortly before starting my program here at FNU, my boss asked me if I would become a clinical nursing supervisor, and I said yes, and I reminded her I am starting this program, and we'll have to see how it goes. And before the start of my current term, I stepped down as a supervisor after doing it for almost a year, and I struggled with that a lot because I felt like I was letting the company down and pushing more of a workload on my co-supervisor, but I've since reflected on it a lot because it caused me like sleepless nights. I was very upset about it, and I think that part of being a leader is being able to recognize I need help. I can't help the company when I'm overwhelmed and
Good decision.
so wanting to be able to give 100% of my effort to the patients when I was with them and to school rather than 20% to everything else, I think it was a really good decision, and it's
a good
worked
decision
out well
for the long
everyone.
term. Yeah, very, very good. Good for you. That's great. Anybody else?
I think, like, you know, like there's different ways to be a leader when you're not like in an official leadership role. And so I work in a community hospital and we're in delivery, and we have like our daytime lactation consultants that are there, they're limited hours, and they kind of see the patients. But I really noticed like, hey, the lactation services weren't what I would want them to be, and our patients were frustrated, and the nurses were frustrated. So I decided just to like, hey, I need to know more. So I went and pursued IBCLC just because I felt like this could be thing, and it was a great thing for me, and it provided other opportunities. But by doing that, like, I think it really got my coworkers kind of on board, like, hey, this is important. Not that any of them were going to pursue that path, but Adria's doing this, so maybe I'll give it a little bit more attention.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so I fill up my Facebook feed with all kinds of breastfeeding stuff. Exactly. And my thought is, like, people may get, you know, annoyed with it, and I I'm hoping some of my kids, there's some of their friends that have friended me, and I was kind of weird about that, but then I thought, no, I want these kids to see this. I want to make this normal. Like, this is normal. And over the last few years, I can kind of see, like, the culture is changing. People are not so, like, weirded out by it. It's becoming more. So I just think you don't have to be in a leadership role to start making changes and just.
That is a great example. Great example of servant leadership. You're absolutely right. You don't have to be in a big leadership role. So good job.
I recently joined the National Black Nurses Association. Some of you might have heard of it. I know Captain James Dickens is in that organization.
He's heard of it.
But it was interesting. I had the opportunity to present last year at the conference, and I was so impressed by the caliber of professionalism from these Black women. I was surrounded by PhDs, DNPs, and they were so powerful and very inspirational. And so, and actually, Rowena encouraged me to join this organization. It was amazing. But anyway, I had such an amazing time that I joined that year, and I became an active member of it's called the Southeastern Pennsylvania chapter in my area, and Secret DNA. And they've been recently looking for a chair of the mentorship committee. And I just happened to be in the meeting one day, and I said, so what exactly does the chair of the mentorship committee do? Like, what do they entail? And they said, well, how about you start it up, and we'll take the lead after you. Okay, so they kind of recruited me for the position, but the reason why I took it on is because I really value the mentors that I had at Frontier, and they've been the ones who've encouraged me to come here. And because I love them so much, I said, you know what, I can do this and mentor other women so that I can continue to empower them in the field, not just in nursing, but in midwifery as well. And so since that time, I invited, because I work with Nurse-Owned Partnerships, so I invited a couple of my clients to come to the meeting, and they came out, and a couple of them are actually going to join. But it's interesting, I'm trying to link them up with mentors in the organization too. So it's amazing how that connection can work, because you can also inspire other young minds who can then encourage others as well. So I'm very grateful to be a part of that organization, and I'm looking forward to coming to the conference in August.
And Essence has done a lot more than that too. She won last week at FACNM for her work with the Midwives for Color Committee, and when I asked, what the award was for, like, it was Essence will do anything that you ask her to do and do it well. And so thank you. You're a servant leader. Who else?
I just graduated from my college, but I was formerly the leader of a doula organization there that I didn't found, but a couple years ago someone else founded it. And it went through a lot of leadership changes, and I really wanted to do the next thing, kind of leave my mark and have something exciting to lead with. But it wasn't really the year to start a conference or to add another clinic, and I realized what actually was most needed was to make sure that people from the community were also doulas. It wasn't just the students coming into neighborhoods that weren't their own, privileged students coming in and kind of taking care of everyone else, and actually people should be, like just what you're talking about. I really find important, it's a big value for me, that working with the community, within the community. So we founded a community member doula program, so that adults from the surrounding community get to know the students and also work with them. That wasn't my dream was to do something that, everyone would hear about, like a big clinic or something, but actually that was more important, what was actually necessary in the moment, and I'm more proud of that than I would have been of that.
Good for you.
A question to ask if leaders are not made, they emerge. But I don't know. So maybe some of my colleagues can tell me what they think about that. Do they think that a leader, someone can be trained to be a leader? Or that's something that's part of them?
We all can be leaders. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be outgoing or anything. An introvert can be a leader. An extrovert can be a leader. A nurse can be a leader. A doula can be a leader. We all have the potential. But it does, training helps. Like just because it just sometimes it's not really training you as much as is increasing your self-awareness of your own capability. Human beings are we have so much capability if we can use it. And it takes things like mentoring and opportunities and helping each other and lifting each other up to make those things happen.
I would say also that just because you've been trained to be a leader doesn't mean that you are a change maker. I'm 5 months into my first midwifery job, and in an organization that's fairly large and has never had midwives. So it's really exciting, and I kind of came in with this mindset that if you're going to do change, since everyone's already seeing it happen, like now's a really good time to just push forth all of your objectives. Because in a way, people become complacent. I think there's some statistics that if you walk by a stack of papers on your counter 4 times, then that's just where they belong. Right? Like, very nice. So, no, right? That's just where you belong. So, and it really does happen. So we have a big wall in our house that we have all kinds of cute things on. We just moved because I decided a new job and a new house, like in the same room, would be great. So it's awesome. And then it's everybody's birthday, so we started hanging up this big mural wall. We got halfway through. It was time for the party to start. That was March 15th. Only half the wall. It's just a blank half of the wall, and then this really cute half of the wall. And it really bothered me for 2 days. And now, so I think it was important. So when I came in, I started on January 31st. There's no VBACs in the hospital, like, you know, and we have a really interesting clientele. We serve the Women's Recovery Center, which is the inpatient rehab center. We serve the women there, and we serve the rural health clinic, and we serve like all these other, and we have private patients, and it's kind of crazy. So, so like by the middle of February, we have VBACs now. We get nitrate, and I have a partner, so it was really exciting. I have a partner, and she's a manager in the same network for the last 10 years, and I am just like every meeting, like, we've got to do this, this, and this. We have to help all these people. And she's like, and I don't think it's because she's not a good leader, but because the
balance of you two may be very good.
It might
Two of you like that might be.
It might be, but
Or
I'm
two
a little
of her might
excited. But I think that, you know, we have an idea of a leader, and she is great. She's great in public speaking, and she's great but to stand up and say, this is what I want, and this is what the women of our community need, is not always like. Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, I would say though, she's got that role. There's a balance that's going to go on there that's going to make it happen.
I think so.
You
Things
know,
are happening.
Absolutely, and so I'm so proud of you. Congratulations. I think it's about passion. Passion.
So, Dr. Stone, I taught her in her associate degree program 10 years ago. Ish. 12. Ish. So I've known her forever. She's doing amazing things in that organization. I don't work there anymore, but I get to watch from a distance, and it's really awesome to watch.
Oh, that's what we want to see.
So it's kind of, they are on their way, her and Dr. Baker. So yes.
Do we want to have a break? Do we want to keep talking? Do we want to have big water back there?
We are about to have a break, but we do have a presentation for you, Dr. Stone. Right before we end it, yes.
Oh.
Students of fun seniors, and years, and diversity five, just one of the ones.
Yes. Yes. Oh, I'm always one of them. I'm not kidding. I'm just going to go buy one. Yes. Oh, frontiers, though. Nancy.
might be able to get autographs this
Yeah.
weekend from all of you. That would be so awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
And thank you, Dr. Stone, for opening up this session. And we want to thank our viewers. Let's see if I can someone wave at our viewers in the back? Yes, okay, good. Hi, viewers. Thank you all for logging in. We're just gonna go over a few house rules. Yes. Before we go into our activity, and as you all know, the secret is out. Dr. Charmaine Baker is on her way. And she has brought tons of books, so I think she takes credit for it, because the rest of us may not have had. But as you all know, she's been seen on CBS, Fox TV. I think they did an interview with her, Katie Couric, if I'm not mistaken. Oh my, did I just speak them up? Oh my Lord. I mean, we said, Dr. Can we get $1 million while things are happening? So yeah, Dr. Baker and Dr. Diane have made it. This is wonderful. So everyone, yes. Let's say if we want that $1 million, whatever we need, let's speak it now since things are happening. But Michael is here.
$1 million.
Yes. Yes. And we, for the online viewers as well, we will be doing daily prizes with our scavenger hunt. So if you all would like to look on page 13, many and how many new attendees do we have? Most of them. This is good. So we do a scavenger hunt for our students here on our attendees here on campus, and the marketing department has created daily listings. So if you have, and Brittany's here, she might want to correct me if I am wrong. I think we're doing postings on Facebook, Instagram. I'm looking at Brittany like
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
Twitter.
All three.
Snapchat, I don't know. It's so many, but they will be announcing a daily winner. And I think, Kat, didn't you win the overall last year? Kat was like, oh my goodness, Dr. Baker. And we're glad they made, I think you all, was the flight held up in Atlanta due to weather. So everyone that flew in from the South, I'm glad you all had safe travels. Please, let's participate in the online scavenger hunt. And even for the online viewers, marketing has created an online game specifically for our online viewers. We do have some more announcements. Tomorrow we will be leaving for the Hurricane Creek Miners Memorial. We are doing 2 rounds. And those of you that have been to the Wendover dinner, you know how we do the first round of bus and then the second round. So please, at 8:30, we will be taking the first round of students over to the cultural field trip, and we'll have a small activity for them while we're waiting to bus in the second round. Marketing is requesting everyone bring their t-shirt. We're still doing that, okay. So, and we'll make sure Dr. Baker and Dr. John and Dr. Harris get a t-shirt. We are doing the Diversity Mannequin Challenge, and so it does include our t-shirts, yes. And we sincerely thank you all for those that emailed us in your comments on what you're doing to enact change in your community as it relates to diversity awareness. And the comments are very heartfelt, so we're excited for tomorrow's activity. We do have some more announcements from Mr. Michael, one of our development officers from the Wendover House.
So I just want to talk to you a little bit about tomorrow's field trip. We're going to the, you can say it several ways. You can say hurricane, you can say hurricane, you can say hurricane. People in Hurricane Creek will call it hurricane. But it's a very powerful memorial about coal mining.
Yes.
We're talking about legacy. These people left a legacy.
Yes.
38 men lost their lives. One man survived. He was blown in the mine 500 feet. And there's a lot of lessons that you can learn just from looking at everything in this memorial. Afterwards, we're going to Wendover, and we're going to have a wonderful cookout. Those that are interested, I'm going to give you a little behind-the-scenes tour of Wendover. You know, when we go to the Frontier Bound, you see a little bit. But I can show you a lot more if you're interested tomorrow afternoon. And it's going to be a great day. The weather is supposed to be wonderful.
Ooh, yes.
So I've been watching it. And so we'll see you tomorrow.
Is there, I know it's outdoor most of it, is there any kind of dress code this time going to Wendover? At Frontier Bound, I know it's nice out there.
No, this is
I
very
just wanted to make sure.
Please bring some tennis shoes.
Yeah, bring some walking shoes because, you know, the memorial is gravel and Wendover is, we're going to be outside for most of the time. So do bring some walking shoes if you have them.
Yes. If you have sunglasses, we will be outside. So we are a few days away from summer officially starting. And you all felt that wonderful heat, didn't you? Today on campus, I did. So, yes, sunscreen. Good. So we know who to go to. Bring it on. Yes. If you have a hat or to block the sun, if you want to bring an umbrella for some shade. We definitely, I think Michael spoke correctly. Tomorrow we are focusing solely on rural health. And we have a speaker coming in from the University of Kentucky. So I want us to get in the mindset of rural health. I believe Captain James, I don't want to call him out, also as well knows a little bit about rural health as it relates to his part of what he does with the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. So tomorrow, think rural health, and we're about to have a day of fun. Are there any more house announcements? Yes. Oh, we do have another house announcement.
I'm Shola, and I would like to offer impromptu yoga. This wasn't in the agenda, so I'm still trying to figure out what the best time. Looks like early morning is the best time, but if there's another time people are interested in doing it, just let me know, flag me down, let me know, and we can figure something out in terms of place and timing.
I would like to suggest that, you know, one of the best things I've seen done is that at the beginning and end of each session, we do a pose.
Oh,
We do both, but then everybody gets to stretch a little one.
Absolutely. That's
I like that.
absolutely.
All right, how about, let's go.
And I think we have one more announcement from marketing with the studio one.
Oh, yes, so tomorrow from 2 to 2:45, we have the Reflections on Diversity session, and a couple of us from marketing will be here to help coordinate that. But if you look at the very last page of the booklet, there's some questions to think about. And we really would like to invite everyone to just come for maybe 2 to 3 minutes and just answer maybe 2 of the questions, whatever resonates with you the most, on camera for us. And we really use those to inspire others to come to Diversity Impact, to want to increase diversity in nursing, and to just be inspired in general. I want to hear from you. That's the most powerful.
We might be able to use that for a research study too someday.
Right. And there will be other opportunities throughout the weekend to do that, but we really want to get as many as possible tomorrow, just because we'll be there to kind of help coordinate, and the rest of the time, I know you guys will be pressed for time. So thank you for thinking about doing that activity as well.
And I just wanted to give a little, the fire thing. Okay. So our fire regulations, first of all, we are connected to the fire department. So if the fire alarm goes off, you are to get out of your building. You don't have to try to put the fire out or do anything like that. You are to leave the building. If we had a big fire or a big thing happen, our meeting place is at the chapel. So if we're trying to locate where everybody is. In your room, you should be able to find a fire escape plan for your room. And so read that and just be aware. And please don't burn any candles or have bonfires on the back porch or anything like that. So that's fine.
Thank you, Dr. Saha. And so we're about to head up to our next session, but before we go, I did want to recognize, we have some very important guests, and Dr. Stone introduced them, and we actually have some more walk in after she started. We have, and Mandy, I don't know if you wanted to introduce, but we have some people from Breckenridge Capital Advisors that are here with the Courier program, if they would like to stand. I thought they were college students. I was ready to I did. They are here to support our Courier interns. Can the interns stand up again? Yes. So we thank our interns and we thank our Courier sponsors for being here. Yes.
Sorry, can I say more about them? Breckenridge Capital Advisors is an organization that they have such a great ethic that it's called Breckenridge because the person who's the CEO of it is Breckenridge, is one of the Mary Breckenridge's relatives. But he is one of the most generous, visionary people that I've ever met. His organization, which these two have joined us from, they give one portion of any revenue that they make over the course of the year to different organizations. And we have applied over the years, and they've been very generous. Just so this year, they're supporting our Courier program. But they wanted to do more than that. They wanted to come and participate a little bit and learn more about Frontier. So thank you for coming. Oh, they also have sponsored scholarships and. So it's great to have you here and participating with us too.
Yes, and we wanted to thank Captain James Dickens from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services for being here. Office of Minority Health out of Texas, Dallas, I believe. So he will be speaking tomorrow, actually. And as Dr. Stone had introduced, Dr. Phyllis Leopard she's one of our board of directors here. So we thank her for being here. Denise, our director of, the development office here at Frontier. She really goes out there to help us as an organization to pull in sponsors, scholarship opportunities, and we thank her from flying from, I believe, Colorado to be here. So, and we thank Mandy and Kirsten with the Courier program. They coordinated everything for the Couriers. So we are literally headed upstairs to our final activity.